It's now time for the Billy C. Show, part of the BillyCBoxing.com network.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing okay today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by my book. You know that. You watch this show any time for the last 21 years. I've been promoting my book. Well, now I haven't had the book out 21 years, but get a copy. Amazon.com, or if you want a signed copy, just drop me an email, Billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Give a shout out to Team Batman Boxing, who's already in the chat room. Glad you could join us. And you are joining us right now for our Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul pre-fight show. And we got a great lineup of guests coming on. Former world champions Oliver McCall, the Atomic Bull, my man Randall Baily, KO King. The KO King is going to join us in a little bit. A boxing promoter, Jimmy Adams, a boxing trainer from the World Boxing Review, Aaron Snowell, my main man, Carl King. You guys talked with him last week or the week before, and a good friend of mine from DKP and LDLTV, John Moceyunas. All are going to be joining us for this show. We're going to be breaking down the fight and give everybody, they'll give you all their thoughts. And you guys, if you're watching, come on into the chat room because we're going to open up some phone lines to get your thoughts. You know, it's given me a feel of the old days, you know, when Mike Tyson used to fight, but it's not the same, you know. And I'll start off by telling you guys my thoughts, all right, real quick, before everybody else comes on. And the truth of the matter is we talked about this on the show Thursday, and you know, I'm torn. All right, I got some quotes from Carl Froch. I got some quotes from a guy who was Jake Paul's sparring partner. His name is Anthony Taylor, and of course, we're going to get the thoughts of the KO King and Atomic Bull and the rest of the guests that we're going to have on. But my initial thoughts are this. I find that this is not really what I want to see in the sport of boxing, to be honest with you. You know, I'd like to go back to the heyday, you know, all the young whippersnappers out there called back in the day in the 80s and stuff. And to me, you know, if you would have asked me in 1985 if I was witnessing the last great era of boxing, I would have laughed at you. But the truth of the matter is the 80s and 90s were a great era of boxing. And, you know, fast forward to 2024, and we got a guy who every time he stepped in the ring, it was an event. He was the only fighter that I recall, at least in my time, where if the fight lasted 20 seconds, people feel they got their money's worth still, you know. But he's 58 years old. And he's taking on a guy that's a YouTuber, all right, which leaves a bad taste in my mouth to begin with. But, you know, the truth of the matter is the guy sells. Jake Paul has done a great job, you know, selling himself, selling the fact that he's a boxer, you know, and we'll find out if he is or if he isn't. But I kind of see a couple of things. First of all, I see a lot of negatives. And the first negative is that the event is even happening, to be honest with you. The second one is if Jake Paul wins the fight. If Jake Paul wins the fight, then we're going to see a lot more of this. It's already been being discussed in mainstream media. People that don't know a left hook from a fish hook are talking about Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul. I mean, it's successful from that point of view already, okay? So, you know, should Jake Paul win this fight, I think that we're going to be, similar fights are going to be shoved down our throat. And then when you add the other side, should Mike Tyson win the fight, which I think the majority of the people are hoping, that's going to be good for boxing, but then it's going to be bad because I'll bet you right now that should Mike Tyson win this fight, you're going to start hearing offers to Mike Tyson to fight a current champion like a Tyson Fury, for example, or a Danny Dubois or an Anthony Joshua. They're going to be, well, Joshua's not a champion, but my point is they're going to say, hey, Mike Tyson knocked out Jake Paul. Let's throw him $100 million and get him back in the ring. So, that's some of the negatives that I see coming out right now. We got people in the chat room. Hey, my man Dave is in. Glad to see you there. Jesus, regular viewer. Remember, we're going to throw up a phone number where you could call in and be part of the show. But first guest that I got right now, I'm going to bring in a former world champion. He has 56 professional fights. 39 of his 46 wins came by knockout. He is the KO King. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, Randall Baily joins us right now. What's up, Randall? Randall, your mic is muted. Your mic is muted. You got to unmute your mic. It's up in the corner there. And while he's figuring out, now he's straight. He was. It looked like an old Batman movie that I had. Now he's straight. But I got John Moceyunas is with us too. Randall, your mic is muted on your end, so it should be up in the right hand corner of your screen. You see a little mic with a line through it. If you click on that, it'll unmute it. How are you, John? You hear me okay?
Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Yeah, I got a whole new studio going on in here, so I just pulled it together and got your audio back on my feed. So good to go, I think.
Yeah, I'm dying to hear what Randall's got to say, but he's keeping us all in suspense. He's got his microphone muted. But I'll start off with you, John. I know we talked a little bit. What's your initial thoughts of this fight?
Well, I was doing my calculations, but I'll talk about that later about how much money this thing is going to do. I'm going to be honest with you, Billy. I'm a little bit nervous about it because this doesn't look like a real fight. The whole lead up to it, the weigh-in, the way Tyson was acting, the way he's, I just was watching a whole bunch of his previous press conferences to solidify my thoughts. And those press conferences where there were real fights for championships, this guy was really serious. He's a little bit too joking around here, playing around with Jake Paul. This is 1996. He wouldn't have been saying the things he said on podcasts and other places. And then when he gets face to face with Jake Paul. So I just hope that maybe he's changed and gotten older and he's beyond all that stuff and he's really going to fight hard. Because you and I want to see a real fight. We don't want to see something staged or somebody pulling punches or, some shenanigans going on. I certainly don't.
Yeah, well, I guess Randall's still working on his setup there. But, the truth of the matter is that, it's like my man Coach has been saying, and I get the feel from a lot of different people that, it's predetermined. I have a quote here from Carl Froch, and he said earlier in the week, he said, I think this is a scripted fight, and it will only last 3 or 4 rounds. Jake Paul will definitely win. Tyson might start well, but then he'll fall over. Paul can't lose. It's in the contract. He can't lose. He's a useless piece of garbage. And he said, Mike Tyson is an iconic name after what he's achieved in the sport when he was physically fit and capable, but not at the age of 58. I don't think Jake can take any credit, but I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll tell everyone until their ears are bleeding that he's beaten Mike Tyson. Now, here's the thing, John. Carl Froch doesn't pull any punches. And the truth of the matter is it could very well be scripted. And like Dave is saying in the chat room here, he said Tyson's going to lose. He's not getting paid $20 million to win. and it makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of people are looking at Mike Tyson. He's got that look in his eyes again, and all that stuff. But I've said this all the time when Floyd Mayweather was fighting. You know how I feel about him. But it's hard to beat the hell out of the guy who just gave you a payday that's life changing. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Mike isn't already well off, but $20 million. And he doesn't have anything to lose. And quite frankly, I don't think he cares if he loses.
Jesus, I would just hope that isn't the case. I don't know. I mean, we watched that Roy Jones fight, so we have a really good example of what can happen when you're just pulling punches. Because on any other day, in the kind of shape Roy Jones was in, he should have beat Roy Jones into the ground in one round. That's what probably should have happened. And Roy Jones has bad knees. That's the insight I heard on him is his knees were so bad he couldn't even train, and he was way overweight. And they stretched that fight out, and then it ended up being a tie. And I don't know about you, but I was just like shaking my head, disappointed. And now I've gotten built up for this fight. And the more stuff I see, and then I hear stuff like you saying right now, a guy like Carl Froch is saying this. I really don't have a good feeling about this.
And it's like WWE for sure, scripted and everything else. Hey, John, I don't know if you got a chance to give Randall a shout. He's still having some trouble with his microphone. It's muted. So I'm going to get Carl King is ready to come on. He's chomping at the bit. So he's making all faces at me. He wants to come on right now. So I'm going to add him. So here's the man.
What happened?
Well, I don't know what happened to your video. We just lost him. I think he was laughing so hard, but I'm not sure. Randall's. I got a good video of it, Randall. But I don't have his mic. It's muted on his end, John. So if you can help him out. But here's the man, the myth, and the legend himself, Carl King. Man, I didn't talk to you for 2 years, and I saw you twice now in the last couple of weeks, man. Great to have you on. What's your initial thoughts of this fight?
Well, what's interesting to me is, we're going to see what Mike has left, how he fared against Father Time. Just because theoretically speaking, 58-year-old man should not be able to beat a 20-something-year-old, not in athletics. That just shouldn't be the case. So I'm more interested in seeing what Mike has in the gas tank. He looks great. He's been working out. But again, he hasn't been in the ring for an official fight in 20 years. So I'm hoping, I think he has the right guy in front of him. I don't think much of Jake Paul as a fighter. But my interest lies in whether or not Mike Tyson is leading on the scorecards with Father Time.
Well, I mean, look, if the fight isn't scripted, and if it's a real fight like they're trying to promote it, Mike Tyson has about 2 rounds to finish this kid off. And what I would expect, again, if it's a real fight, and even if it's not, you're going to see Mike Tyson charge him. And if he can't put this guy out quickly, it's going to go the other way. But what I will say about Jake Paul is this: he's definitely put some work into the sport of boxing. He hasn't fought anybody. He's 10-1 with 7 knockouts. His only loss came at the hands of a guy that was his only real fighter that he fought in Fury. So I mean, that's the truth. Let's call a spade a spade. That's the truth. And here's another thing that I've been talking about, and I'll get your guys' thoughts. I'm dying to get Randall's, but he's got no mic. It's got the X through it, John. You got to help him, John. Help the guy. Give him a call. Randall, John's going to call you and hook you up. So Jake Paul, you look at it this way, Carl. Jake Paul has fought 11 fights, okay?
Right.
One of them against a real fighter, Okay. But here's the thing, because nobody does it today. And we talked about this before. What he's going to get from Mike Tyson, I would assume, even a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, is Mike Tyson doing what Mike Tyson does. Head movement, Carl. He's going to come in with head movement, and he's going to get in close like he was able to do when he was active, okay? Gets in close, and he's going to pound the body. That's what I think is going to happen. And I don't think Jake Paul legitimately would be able to connect a good shot with Mike if Mike's head movement was even 60% of what it used to be. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I agree with you on that. The thing that concerns me is as you age, your ability to be able to sustain the punches changes. You're not as durable, for lack of a better term, than you are when you're in your 20s. So his ability to be able to take a punch, and I'm not sure how big a puncher Jake Paul is or whatnot, but in lieu of that thought, we have 14-ounce gloves, 2-minute rounds. So I would think that Mike can, throughout his entire career, he's fought 3-minute rounds, okay, and he's held to pay, in the first few rounds. So I would say that he's got 3-4 rounds in him that he can blast off 2 minutes. And if he's anything like he once was, and I'm not expecting to see that, I'm not delusional to the point where when I think of Mike Tyson in 2024, that I'm visualizing a 1990 Mike Tyson or a 1986 Mike Tyson. I'm looking at what once was probably the greatest heavyweight in our era to now being a 58-year-old former champion who was the greatest of his era. So what that comes down to, in my opinion, is his ability to, ward off Father Time and how far off is his timing going to be, his reflexes and things of that nature. But other than that, I think he really shouldn't have a problem style-wise with this guy. He's going to try to stay away, I would imagine. But Mike has a way fighting off the angles and pressuring him that can nullify all that. So I think that's where the 14-ounce gloves come in effect. And it kind of probably helps both guys, the glove size. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm anxiously waiting to see how my man can, how he's going to fare out tonight. Like I said, against Father Time. That's his biggest fight, is Father Time.
True. And, remember 19 years ago in his last sanctioned fight, he got knocked out by Kevin McBride, and Kevin,
who was really not that much. I mean,
never was. In his best day, he wasn't,
Yeah, exactly.
So my next question is the time, yes, Father Time is undefeated, but has the time in any normal situation, time, aging hurts you, right? But in Mike Tyson's case, do you think the time off could actually be a benefit for him?
Well,
against this guy that he's fighting.
20 years off, that's a lot of time. And I know he's been active. I know he's been working out. His body looks great. And I'm jealous when I seen him at the weigh-in. I had an envy streak running because I wish my body looked even remotely similar to what his looks like. So that I think Billy, that his timing, his response time, his reflexes is going to tell the story. Can he actually slip, a quarter inch here, half inch there, an inch or two here and there will make all the difference in the world. So if he has that, if he got that part of the game covered and his reflexes are, better than the average 58-year-old guy, then, I think Jake Paul will be in a lot of trouble.
One of the things, John, and you, this is right up your alley. we've all seen a lot of video clips of Mike training, and you got to admit, I mean, anybody that has watched the video clips of him training for this fight have to admit that he looked good, and I think that that's part of the hype with this fight. But as you know, John, you can do magical things with video. And my question is, do you think that we are seeing legitimate video? Like, we don't know how long those clips are. We don't know if they've been pieced together. It could be a 20-second flurry, and then he's laying on the ground gasping for air, and then they pick up another 20 seconds, like me or Carl would be right now, if we did, so do you think any of that is the case?
Are you talking about in these promo videos and stuff?
Yeah,
that he's been
all the videos of them.
No, I mean, no, but just look at them. Look at. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the social media for DK all day long, looking at stuff. These clips are 20 and 30 seconds long, and you know how it is. And Carl knows this better than anybody. Everybody can hit the pads and look good. Everybody can hit mitts and look really, really good. And when it's Mike Tyson doing it without somebody punching back, the guy still has speed. You can't fake that on the video. But the question is, those clips are 20 seconds long. I queued up a whole bunch of fights for you and was looking at the clip of Pinklin Thomas and that fury of Tyson punches. He threw like 14 punches in a row, one after another to finish off Pinklin Thomas. I promise you, he can't do that right now. He can throw that 20 seconds, and if he, with the 14-ounce gloves, he catches Jake Paul like exactly right, well, then it might be over. But that's not how these fights go. Only the quickest knockouts, Marvis Frazier and a couple of those. It took him, how many rounds, Carl, did it take him to beat up Larry Holmes? How many rounds did it take him to beat up Biggs? And Spinks was 91 seconds. So there was a couple in there. But he's 58 now. He's not 28. So those
gloves, the 10-ounce gloves too now.
They're 14 ounces.
No, he's comparing the 10-ounce gloves from when he fought the other guys. But Speaking of other guys, let's bring in right now we have former world heavyweight champion Oliver McCall, and he's joined with boxing promoter who's real successful with the Country Box Series, Jimmy Adams. They're with us right now. What's up, fellas?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Carl.
Good to see you, Carl. Carl, you look different, man. How you doing?
What's up, Oliver, baby? How you doing, champ?
So listen, we're trying to, we're waiting for Randall to come back on. He's been having some computer issues, but what's your initial thoughts of this fight? I mean, obviously it's getting a lot of hype and it's getting a lot of press. Non-boxing people are really waiting for it. We're discussing right now. We have been discussing, is it a real fight for real? Is it scripted? Is it a WWE? What's your guys' thoughts?
Well, yeah. It's all good. Well, I think I hope it's a real fight. Whatever ounce gloves they fighting in, if they fighting in 10 ounce, 14 ounce, fighting is fighting in a real fight. So anybody could get knocked out, whatnot. I just hope it's a real fight and they really go at it and the best man win. Hey,
Oliver, let me ask you a question. I've heard some comments from big punchers like yourself. You had George Foreman said it, and several other fighters. They said that when you have punching power, the difference between a 10-ounce glove and a 14-ounce glove really isn't that much. What's your comments on that?
Well, yeah, I agree with that. It really ain't that much. I was just finishing up my training camp myself today, and I was hitting the pads with some 18-ounce gloves, and they felt good. And it makes me more confident in putting on a 10-ounce or 12-ounce or however many ounces I'm going to fight in. But when you're a puncher, it really doesn't matter. I mean, really, if you catch them right, you're going to feel your knuckle hit the skull or wherever you hit them at, and you possibly have a knockout. So with the real punchers, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
And one last question on that. Jake Paul has a beard like he should be Santa Claus. Is that going to help cushion the blows?
No, I don't think so. I think Jake Paul better just move with the flow of the punch, you know what I'm saying? But if he's there and he take a solid punch from Mike Tyson, whether it's 18 ounce on down, he can and will get knocked out.
Hey, Jimmy, from a promoter's point of view, this is like a dream fight to promote, right? I mean, Mike Tyson, he promotes himself just because of the name, and Jake Paul has proven that, he's the guy everyone loves to hate. What's your thoughts on that from a promoter's perspective?
Well, I take my hats off to Jake Paul and what he's done, but still, when it comes down to real boxers, the only person who's ever fought is Tommy Fury, which ain't an A-class fighter. Jake Paul does a marvelous job on promoting YouTubers and wannabe fighters. But every time he steps up, there's a reason he don't fight in Vegas. The reason he don't fight in New York. But you got to give him credit, props what he does in his style. But I think he's going to grow up a whole lot tonight with Mike Tyson, though.
Well, that's what us boxing purists are hoping. Truthfully, Carl, I had said this in the opening. It's kind of a lose-lose situation for everybody, because if Mike Tyson, listen, the majority of the boxing people I know all feel the same way. We're hoping Mike Tyson, including myself, we're hoping Mike Tyson goes out there and knocks this kid out. And I agree with everything Jimmy said. He really hasn't. He's worked hard at it, and obviously there's no VADA testing for this fight because he's got more juice than Florida. But the truth of the matter is Mike Tyson, should he go out there and take care of Jake Paul quickly, that's a pro for the sport. But the con is every promoter is going to be asking him to fight real fighters like, a Tyson Fury, let's say, or even a Daniel Dubois. They're going to offer him $100 million. And that would be sad if that happens. And then the other side of the coin, should Jake Paul win, it's going to be everything that we're hoping it's not. What's your thought?
Well, it's just like, just like Oliver took it on the last podcast we did with John there. Oliver made it real clear to Lennox Lewis, because Lennox Lewis is talking about now for the right money, he come back. And as Oliver told me, he said, the first time I knocked you out, second time I cried and gave it to you, let's do it again. So, and Oliver, that's what we're going for on Tuesday night when Oliver fights on Tuesday night, his next fight. And we're hoping we can get back in and go 3, McCall and Lewis 3.
Carl,
Sound good, Carl?
Sounds good, man.
Well, Carl, the thing is, being a manager for as long as you have, when from a safety point, right? Maybe because we're able to, Oliver looks like he's in great shape. Mike Tyson looks like he's in great shape. Maybe it is time, because we as humans are, able to look. You look at old photos of your grandparents and you're like, oh yeah, that was my granddad. And then you realize he was only 45 in that picture. He looks like he's 70, So obviously we're in better shape and, physically these days. Do you think it's time for like a senior division in boxing to give these guys an opportunity? Oliver McCall looks like he could get in there. If he's in there with a guy that's similar in age, or at least 10 years difference, they could be very competitive fights. And I think that there's a market for that. What do you think? Well,
I think, listen, it sounds good right up until somebody gets seriously injured. Tonight we'll find out the 8-year-old man, his reflexes are. We all seen him at his very, very best. Oliver can tell you this. He was in the ring with him when he was absolutely on top of the world. Yeah. So if his reflexes are there and his ability to be able to sustain the punch, I'm not sure how well guys live after they get out of the ring. So to say that to have a lot of guys that are in their 50s fight, what's the odds that everybody is going to be really, really in great shape, as opposed to that one guy that might not be, take a shot and God forbid something serious happens, then it's another black eye on the sport. But I'm also of the ilk that, that if you're physically able, why not? it's the eight. Look, George Foreman said 30 years ago that 40 wasn't a death sentence. And I watched Ali when he fought Larry Holmes. He was 38 years old, and he was a shell of what he once was. So then as time goes on, guys are fighting longer in the 40s, Floyd Mayweather's, a lot of guys are fighting at extended ages as compared to what it was back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, look, Oliver fighting Lennox Lewis would be very interesting. We owe him one. He gave him one shot. I mean, one victory. The only one he won, he gave it to him.
Exactly.
Hey, listen. Remember, during one of the greatest fighters of all time, people always forget, but Harry Greb, right, a middleweight.
Yeah.
They were talking about him being, over the hill at 30. I mean, they were talking about him. He was blind by the time he was 30 years old, and so that was my point. Training methods, nutritional advancements. Knowing what to eat, what not to eat, staying in shape. Supplement type stuff, legal supplement. That's preserving our bodies, but maybe not mine. But the truth of the matter is what you said earlier. Your reflexes aren't the same. The way you take the punch isn't the same. So my thought is, if you had fighters that were similar in age, then that kind of evens the playing field. If you have a 50-year-old fighting a 50-year-old, those reflexes should be similar. It's a lot more dangerous when a 50-year-old is fighting, a 20-something or a 30-year-old, when the reflexes are, at their peak. That was my point. That maybe it is time for like a senior league. Remember, didn't they want to promote? Who was it? They wanted to call it the Geezers at Caesars. Wasn't it Foreman and Foreman and Holmes, right? Weren't they pushing for back?
At one time?
Yeah.
And I have to say, Billy, Oliver, we had to go through all these tests now for Oliver to be able to fight Tuesday night. He come out with 20/20 vision, passed the physical with flying colors, and the doctors even shaking their head that to be his age, he's in marvelous shape to be his age and all. So, but we took all precautions to make sure. Another good thing about it too, Oliver 59 and Lewis is 59.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's my point. I mean, these guys could not only make a few bucks, but it could be entertaining and evenly matched.
Yeah.
But what we're looking at tonight is a 27-year-old, 31 years younger, going up against Mike Tyson, and I think a lot of us, still think of Mike Tyson was one of my favorite all-time fighters. I mean, Sonny Liston, Mike Tyson, Jack Dempsey, three of my favorite fighters. And when I think of them, I always think of them during that time. Like Carl, you just said when you saw Ali in that last fight, it's hard. I watching him. I remember as a kid when he fought Trevor Berbick, it was very hard to watch.
The Holmes fight was hard to watch.
No, I know. Well, that's my point. You're wondering if that's what we're going to see tonight with Mike. Like a lot of people here in the chat room are alluding to that, and like I read the quote from Carl Froch, they all think it's already scripted.
Well, if Jake Paul do win that fight, I would like to fight Jake Paul, because 27 or not, I'd knock him in the dirt.
No, here's the thing, and I'll tell you, Oliver,
I've never been knocked down. I've never been knocked out in my whole boxing career.
I know. Out of all the fights that you've had, 75 pro fights,
not even in sparring. I never been knocked down in this. Nobody in the world, because I never been knocked down even in sparring for a fight.
Well, with Jake Paul, I this is my whole thing. I want Mike to beat him. I hope it's not a scripted fight. John, do you think it is, or what? What's your gut feeling? I mean, my man Coach is in here. He's been heckling me and emailing me, and he's the guy who has said from years ago that boxing is becoming the WWE, and it definitely this is an example of what he's been talking about. Your thoughts?
Well, dude, this is a sanctioned fight, okay?
I know.
Regardless of whether this is not the Roy Jones fight where it was an exhibition, this is a sanctioned fight. That Texas commission has an obligation to investigate this thing if they think it is fixed in any way. Dude, don't forget that. This is a sanctioned fight. It's not, it's regulated by the Texas Boxing Commission.
You just hit it on the head. It's Texas.
Yeah, but John, you have to look at it also, John. They also changed some rules. It's 8 rounds with 2-minute rounds and 14-ounce gloves. So you got to understand.
But there's still an expectation of a competitive fight. Look at what happens when you see one of these. Issues happen when a fight looks like it's fixed. They, maybe not in Texas, maybe not in Tennessee, but the general public, us boxing guys, inside that first 30 seconds, every one of you guys on here is going to be looking at the first 10 punches thrown and figuring out whether this thing is scripted or not.
You're right. You're definitely. I agree absolutely 100% with that.
Hey, Carl, I just hope they don't start throwing punch stats down our throat during this fight. I hope they can refrain from that, because I will say this, we're talking about it being in Texas and stuff. I'll tell you right now, they wouldn't have sanctioned that fight here in New York, and they wouldn't have sanctioned that fight in Vegas. There's no way. I mean, remember when Floyd Mayweather wanted to fight Jaime Munguia, remember, they said no. He was 25-0. And they said, no, he doesn't have enough experience. And then the next fight that Nevada approved for Mayweather was Conor McGregor, who had 0 fights. So, it could have meant the Dore
money.
Yeah,
money.
Right. I mean, what do you think? In this fight, look at the money that they're making. There's no title on the line, so nobody's getting any sanctioning fees. But, and from what I understand, it's not even sold out yet.
Well, it's like I say, Jake Paul's done a marvelous job in marketing himself. But you got to understand too, he's also smart enough that he is in a place that he is the power. He cannot be the power of this show in Las Vegas or New York or California. I mean, he's in a place where he is in charge. I mean, if he wants it to be a show, it's going to be a show. I mean, you got to understand, he is the man with the power.
Yep. There's no doubt about it. And speaking of which, and I was kind of surprised. Well, not really surprised, but the fight of the night could very possibly be the female fight for all the titles. I guess the IBF, IBO, WBC, WBO, all those belts are on the line. Katie Taylor going up against Amanda Serrano for their second time. This is a real fight. Amanda predicted Jake Paul to win. Obviously, he's the promoter. I had the luxury of calling a couple of Amanda's fights with John and LDLTV. And she's an amazing fighter, and so is Katie Taylor. What's your guys' thoughts? I'll start off with you, Carl. What's your thoughts on this fight? Do you have a favorite that you're picking?
Well, not really. You know what? I don't think I've ever seen Katie Taylor fight. But I think I've seen, what's the name? Amanda, is it?
Amanda Serrano, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen her fight. And from what I understand, everybody tells me that that's going to be the best fight of the night. So I'm just looking forward to seeing it. But again, I really haven't seen Katie Taylor fight at all, so I don't know what to expect there.
What about you, Jimmy? What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, once again, we got to go back to Jake Paul because my attention has been on Jake Paul and Eddie Hearn's fussing.
Well, Katie, I was shocked. This is something I didn't realize, but she's 38 years old.
Yeah.
I think of her as, she's got 24 fights. Amanda, she's got 50 fights under her belt already. And John, you and I have seen her fight. She's the real deal. She fights. She doesn't fight like a girl.
She's a good fighter, no question. Yeah, she's a good fighter.
And the computer ranks them both number 1 and number 2. So I mean, we're in for a good fight. and it'll be another 2-minute round fight.
Where's Taylor? Where's Katie Taylor from?
England. She's from England.
That's what I thought.
I'm taking Katie Taylor. I like Katie Taylor. I mean, she's an action-packed fighter. She lets her hands go, and she brutal though. She
Really?
Right. Yeah.
I tell you, I'm torn, Oliver, because I feel the same way about Katie Taylor, but I feel like I got a connection with Amanda, and she's got that. John, do you remember her trainer, Maldonado? He's a nutcase.
She can fight.
Yeah, but so the first fight in 2022, first of all, that was the first two females that sold out Madison Square Garden. That fight was the fight of the year, unquestionably. And I might have been leaning a little too hard for Amanda because I like her. I followed her career to some extent. I've seen a couple of Katie Taylor's fights leading up to that fight. You know, the styles make fights, and there's no way that this fight is not going to be great. Again, Amanda Serrano is a superiorly trained athlete. So is Katie Taylor. I think Amanda Serrano won that fight by at least 1 or 2 rounds. That was my opinion. And it's
they had to win it big though, didn't they? They had Katie Taylor won that big by big rounds, wasn't it?
No, it's split decision.
Split decision.
Yeah, it was split. And I could accept that. I just was leaning for. We saw Katie Taylor fight Ella Nunez, and she was like she had like a 10-9 record or something like that.
Oh, that was Amanda. Amanda fought
Ella Nunez. Yeah, but no matter the fight, she came out and was just throwing hands from beginning to end. That Ella Nunez kept up with her. So at that point, when we saw her, she was 6-0 or 7-0, and I thought, wow, she's a good talent and everything. But she really has stepped on the gas since that fight we saw her. And she deserves all the money they're paying her. She's gonna make $10 million, I think, for this. They're both gonna make 10.
You're kidding me? They're making that much?
Yes, they're making a ton.
Oliver's ready to put on a wig and $10 million. Holy shit! You know,
which one of those girls are making $10 million?
Yeah, that's
people are guessing at it, but the guess is that both of them are making $10 million.
I don't know how many. Man, Netflix, they must be printing money. They're going $20 million is guaranteed to Mike. $30 million is guaranteed to Jake Paul.
$40 million is what Jake Paul is getting. He said it. He slipped and said it. I saw the clip of it. All right, but let me justify it for you, and then you guys can understand why this is so easy to make. Wait a second. So when they announced the fight, there was underpinnings and articles of insider people that said there was anywhere from 1 million to 1.25 million additional subscribers. The average subscriber pays $15.49, and the average subscriber upon subscription lasts 12 to 18 months. Now, let's take the low end we'll take the high end of 1.25 million subscribers that added, and we'll take the low end of the months they subscribe. 1.25 million times $15.49 times 12 months is $232 million. They got a lot of money to spend on this fight. That's what they're making. That's why those girls are getting $10 million.
Well, I tell you, it's a lot of money. They're going to have a lot of views. In case you were under a rock, if you're watching, you can watch this fight. John, you said it. The preliminary start at 5:30, right?
Yes, sir.
5:30 on Netflix. They're going to have a lot. Oliver's still. I know I can see it in his face. He's thinking 10 million. 10 million. He can buy that. And I can't either. I'm shocked if she's making. Look. That's going to be the fight of the night, most likely. The other fight that's on this card, it's a world title fight. Mario Barros is fighting. He's the interim WBC World Welterweight Champion. If you recall, Terrence Crawford is the champion in recess. And he's taken on Abel Ramos. I don't see this fight being competitive. Abel's a tough guy. But anytime he's stepped up, he has come up short. He's 28-6. He's got a good chin. He's only been stopped once. But I'm a little surprised that the WBC sanctioned this. I mean, he is ranked in the WBC at number 8, but nowhere else. The computer rankings, you got Barros ranked at number 4 in the world at welterweight. And then Abel Ramos is ranked number 61. So as much as I'm interested in this fight because I like Barros, I don't know if it's going to be competitive. Oliver, what's your thoughts?
Well, I don't know, man. On that one, I really don't. Man, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of. I really don't know about that fight.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Carl, what's your thoughts on that one?
Look, Barrios can, he's been around. He can fight a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know I don't think I've seen the Abel guy fight, but if he's 61st, then you might be right. I know Barrios is a decent fighter.
Putting Tyson and Jake Paul aside, because we all know that if it is real, it is going to be kind of exciting. But
maybe.
Right. If it goes back to what you said in the beginning, if it's still pushing 60, John and I were talking off air, and he made an interesting point. John's in good shape. He works out and all this stuff. And, he pulls a muscle and he's down for a week,
A week. I was sawing a piece of metal for my boat like this, and Marino's holding it. He should have been sawing it. I'm sawing it with a hacksaw. Something just caught, and it pulled this ligament right here in my arm, and it took me almost 3 months out of the gym to get it to a point where I could bench press again. That's how, when you're 50, that's what I think about when I think of Mike Tyson. You can pull a ligament with that easy of a motion. If Mike's got to have a lot of things line up for him to win this fight, I think. He has to get hurt. B, he's got to last 2 or 3 rounds, and C, Jake Paul has to stand in front of him enough that he can hit him. A lot of things have to happen.
I don't think Jake Paul's going to hit him because of the head movement. Jake Paul doesn't. He's never faced anybody with head movement. But
not early. But if they go 4-5 rounds, he might start hitting them.
Yeah, if you're right, because Tyson will be running out of gas. But Oliver, you're the perfect guy to ask right now. What's your thoughts? I mean, you're in the gym. You're fighting Tuesday, right? I mean, the truth of the matter is how does your body react? You're training hard. You're eating right. You look like you're in great shape. I mean, you tell us what's the deal when.
Well, I'm old enough now where I just don't depend on speed. I depend on my timing, distance. And my timing and distance is very important to me. I got awesome defense to where I can catch punches. I can power punches pretty good. And I like stepping in. I like doing a George Foreman move. I can continually pressure you. I like to continually pressure you and really make you either punch or fold up. But Tyson, I don't know. Even by him being a shorter fighter with shorter arms, dealing with Jake Paul, he's going to have to be a little bit more decisive and precise with his punches as soon as he get in there. But he throw volume of punches. So I think Jake Paul ain't going to be able to handle the defensive aspect of dealing with a Mike Tyson.
Even at close to 60.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Because when Tyson pressure you, I don't think Jake Paul can handle that type of pressure, even from a 60-year-old man, not Tyson.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Oliver, and don't take this wrong, okay?
Oh, yeah.
We all know, like, a guy like yourself, former world champion, Mike Tyson, these are elite, yourself included, elite athletes, okay? Elite athletes. And we see it all the time. When you're young, Mark Twain said it best, too bad youth is wasted on the young, right? I mean, we all make mistakes when we're young, right? So now as an older fighter, what you need to do. Like you just said, I'm relying on other things now, right? And you're relying on your brain because you know the moves. You're anticipating the move better than when you were younger or what have you. Now my question is how do you get the body to react to what your mind is thinking? You gotta block a shot that's coming, or you gotta throw that jab or go around a hook that he's throwing. How do you get your body to react when Father Time has slowed it down?
Well, when Father Time really slow it down, there always comes a time when you should hang up the gloves and quit. And to that time, though, I really believe firmly in the word, which the word of God says, that age and treachery beat youth and zeal. So the things I've learned as a young man and now becoming an older man, my treachery of how when I see an opening, I'm gonna take advantage of it. I ain't gonna be waiting around and thinking it's gonna show itself time and time again. So I'm gonna be very treacherous when I get to you to make it work for my best interest. And a younger man, youth and zeal, they will act on things spontaneously. They'd be more spontaneous. And when they do something spontaneous, I'm gonna make them pay and get it over with quick. So that's what I see. That's how I feel about the boxing, the way I approach my fights now. You know, age and treachery beats youth and zeal. So I want you to think you could come in there and just knock me out. You know, I could take a punch, but I want you to think that you could just beat me up. And once you see, because in order for you to give a punch, you got to be open somewhere. And my job is to take advantage of whatever opening I see and execute it with most death-defying treachery. I mean, just try to knock you into yesterday.
Well said.
Carl, do you think what Oliver just said makes so much sense? Do you think Mike Tyson, is his mindset similar to what Oliver just said?
Well, that's the big question. You know, Mike's last real fight against Kevin McBride, he was 20 years younger. He's about 38, 39 years old. and apparently didn't want to fight. Because, you know, I didn't see McBride doing anything that should have resulted in what that fight ended up. So the question to me becomes, does Mike Tyson want to fight? Does Mike Tyson want to win? Because that wasn't the guy that last stepped in the ring with McBride. And if he wants to fight and he's got in his mind is set on winning, then we're going to be in for a really interesting night. You know, if it's not, then we may get that Kevin McBride result, and we're all going to be disappointed.
I agree with that.
Hey, Jimmy, you know, do you think that, you know, Mike Tyson has demonstrated his mean streak is back? You know, I saw him fooling around a lot in the beginning of this tour, this press tour. But these last 2 days, I see a different Mike. I don't really see him smiling much. I don't see him communicating much with the circus. You know, I put no value in that slap. But do you think Mike's mindset is for real? Do you think that you know, he's seriously looking at this fight as, you know, he wants to win? He mentioned that he wants to prove to his kids that he's not just their father, that he was labeled the baddest man on the planet at one time. And it seems like he's portraying that he's got something to prove. What do you think?
Well, you know, that's what I was thinking when you were saying it, because I seen it when Mike was interviewed and they asked about his kids being there. And, you know, I think that means a lot to him for him to show his kids that he was the baddest man on the planet and still could be today. You know, as he said, they only knew him as a father, but he said they get to see him now for who the world knows him for. I think that means a lot to Mike. I mean, I think that means a lot to all of us, no matter what age we are, that our kids look up to you as a father, you know. Yeah. And the last 2 days, you're right. And I think the last 2 days might throw it off Jake Paul a little bit too, because Mike's attitude has turned back towards a little bit snappy, mean looking.
Yeah.
And you know, and Jake Paul wasn't used to that, because you can look at when Mike smacked him, he was shocked. I mean, Jake Paul was shocked, you know, but you know, then again, Jake Paul come up acting crazy, crawling, and then stepped on his toe when he didn't have no shoes on. I mean, that would piss off anybody.
Yeah, no, I tell you, the fact that, I don't know, you know, John, I'm not a steroid expert, but I do gamble a little, and I would bet money that he's juiced up, right? I mean, come on, he's got muscle. He had muscles on his forehead, you know, so I mean, that's a sign, right? I mean,
yeah, Jake Paul is definitely juiced up, man.
Okay, so now, Oliver, same thing. You know, you're ready to get in the ring with him, and you see that he's all juiced up. What's Mike thinking?
Man, and that's hard to even reply on, man. I just hope everybody, because if they sanction one guy to get juiced up and the other guy don't get juiced up, that's an unfair fight. Right. So I just hope the rules is pretty much level for everybody. Because if it's unlevel, no telling what we're gonna get. Of course, Mike say he might smoke a joint before he go in the ring.
Well, that's the other. Somebody made a statement. They said, "Well, his lifestyle is a lot different now." But I tell you, maybe that's why he's so mean, John. Maybe he hasn't smoked any weed in a couple of weeks.
It's not weed. He takes mushrooms before he trains. That I've read that multiple times. I don't know what
he takes mushrooms. He takes mushrooms before he trains.
Yes. That's out in the press in a ton of different places. He's got all kinds of stuff going on. I just, look at that guy was one of the angriest dudes I've ever seen. Mike Tyson. I mean, I had dinner with Oliver McCall, and I'd known Oliver from back in the day. And Oliver's quite a pleasant fellow. Mike, the first time I met him, was the scariest dude I was around. I would rather be around two pit bulls in the dog pound than being near Mike Tyson. He's a scary guy, and I met him.
Yeah, he is a scary guy. Yeah, I agree.
In between Tyson Holyfield 1 and 2, so he was a pretty angry guy at that point, and even angrier when he got in the ring the second time. So if there's 25% of that now, Jake Paul is going to see the first real fighter in his life. A real dude that is. And don't discount Mike Tyson's experience. His experience counts for a lot. We were having discussions. Oliver was telling me something that a bunch of guys said. Don't ever discount experience, no matter what the guy's record is. Don't discount the experience. Mike Tyson, fighting was his life, and those fight muscles and those reactions to things. They don't necessarily change. They might get a little bit slower, but when Mike sees the punch and can duck and sees an opportunity, and Jake Paul doesn't have any of that experience and makes a mistake with his hands down, Tyson's going to throw that punch. I don't care fixed or not fixed. He's going to throw. And if he connects, you know how it is with Tyson. The only guy he hasn't knocked out is Oliver McCall.
Listen, I got a point about that, but I want to ask Carl, because I know he's read a lot about the magic mushrooms. I know you've read about that kind of stuff, Carl. Do you think that?
No, I haven't.
Hear me out, Carl. All right, read between the lines. But my point is, do you really think that Mike Tyson could train while he's on mushrooms? And I don't mean portobellos.
Well, listen, man. I've seen stranger things than that happen. I mean, so whatever works. I really believe that Mike wants his career to end on a winning note.
That's a good point.
I hope so. Yeah, I agree. And I hope it does.
I do too. I mean, because we speak about his children. If they in this day and age, any child knows how to go to YouTube and Google and things like that. They pull up his last fight, they'd be very disappointed in Daddy. You know what I mean? It's like, because he put forth zero effort. I thought he quit in that McBride fight. And that that wasn't the guy that I got to know through the years. That guy was somebody that none of us knew. So if he's trying to recapture who he really is and who he once was, that nasty streak has to be there, because he's the kinder and gentler Mike is not the winning Mike. This guy, we want to see the guy that's very intimidating, very imposing, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I think deep down he wants to go out on the winning note and impress his children and fans that love him all over the world, that were heartbroken when the McBride fight happened. So I think he wants to just kind of redeem himself from all of that.
No,
I'm doing this for my great grandchildren. I got 2 great grandsons. He's doing it for his kids. I'm a great granddad. I'm doing it for my great grandson.
man.
Wow, man. I'm a
Yeah.
grandfather now, so
I'm a great granddad.
I'm gonna have to be 150 before I become a great.
Hey, I will say this. Well, when I met Mike Tyson, it was a little after. Well, I had met him the first time when he was a kid, and I met him again afterwards. But I will say this: the meanest guy that I met wasn't Mike Tyson. It was Evander Holyfield. He was a grumpy son of a bitch. He wouldn't smile or nothing. We were doing a fight in Denmark, and he was a nasty guy.
I
Evander.
agree with you with that with Holyfield. Holyfield was the grumpy guy in the day.
He was. He
But-
wouldn't talk to anybody. We did an event. I had a fighter on the same card. He fought the guy. It was in Denmark. So Brian, what was it? Brian Nelson was the
Nielsen.
yeah.
But
so
let me tell you, there's no one was meaner than the young George Foreman.
oh right.
I don't, we talk about Sonny Liston. That's hard to imagine somebody
Right.
being nastier than George Foreman when he
Well, Sonny
before
was
the Ali fight, pre-74. He was really a mean, nasty guy.
Well,
Wow.
people today they think of him as the smiling guy with the cheeseburger, but Sonny Liston was the meanest, really. But back to what John was saying, and this was a point that I was in conversation with the other day. Mike Tyson had Customato training him early in his career, obviously built and molded Mike Tyson into what he was. And, I was good friends with Kevin Rooney, and I spent a lot of time in the Catskill gym. And Customato and Kevin still uses them. Customato made these tapes. And, he would practice with his fighters, and he would just yell out the numbers, 1, 2, and the fighters would do this thing. Well, repetition, like John, you were saying. And this is what my point is about Mike Tyson. He's in automatic mode. He moves his head and gets under punches automatically. He doesn't have to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so embedded in his head that he
Muscle
doesn't
memory.
work on that. He's going to automatically do it. Even if he tried not to, he probably still would be moving his head and getting in close. I don't think Jake Paul has ever faced anyone like that in sparring or anything else. As a matter of fact, I have a quote from one of Jake Paul's former sparring partners. His name is Anthony Taylor. And they asked him, how is Jake Paul preparing for this fight? And he says, this isn't the Jake Paul I know anymore. He's a different man. We're all different. He's got a different mindset. Everything's changed. He's not the same person. And then when they asked him the same thing, he said, well, Mike Tyson isn't the same. He wasn't the same when he fought Lennox Lewis. He was washed up. So I don't understand who's fighting who in this fight. I think that's a weird comment. What do you guys think? I'll start off with you, John.
Look at, I've studied these Mike Tyson fights as much as anybody, doing the stuff that I did with this library. And when you study his whole career, you can see where he dropped out. Where he dropped out, and I'll tell you this, everybody knows it. It probably started with Buster Douglas.
Yeah.
The first thing that stopped with him, so you know how they say, puncher's power and a hitter's power is the last thing it goes. When he stopped moving side to side, he didn't do that in the Buster Douglas fight, and that was his downfall. That side to side head movement that Kevin Rooney taught him, from at least my understanding, what I read in his book. I read his 500-page book, and Kevin Rooney had and I think you were telling me this, Billy, is that Kevin Rooney had the perfect style. It worked for virtually no other boxer, but it was the perfect style for Mike Tyson. And when he got Mike Tyson was so young, he just had boxing muscle memory. And that side-to-side head movement, when you see him hitting the mitts and you see him hitting the pads with the guys there, and he's moving side to side, you go, oh my God, because I got a bunch of fights lined up here where you look and see him beating up Pinklin Thomas, Bone Crusher, Holmes, all these guys, side to side. That was just such a hard thing for boxers to deal with. And you know, Jake Paul hasn't sparred anybody, he hasn't fought anybody, he hasn't seen anybody. So that first, you know, Tyson's going to come out hard. That first 30 seconds to a minute of this fight might be really fun to watch. Because Jake Paul was down.
Jake's going to be ready for that. That's what everybody is assuming.
Well, let's see. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Exactly.
Right. Hey, John, you said you had some fights queued up. I'd love to just see, if we can, the ring walk of when Tyson fought Michael Spinks, because that look on Michael Spinks' face is something that is embedded in my mind. I'll never forget it. I knew that he was going to get destroyed in that fight. And conversely, when Evander Holyfield was walking out for that first Tyson fight, I looked at the way Evander had this look of confidence, like he knew something nobody else did. And I turned and I said to my friend, "Oh my God, I think Mike's in trouble tonight." And we all know what happened. But that fight with Michael Spinks was scared to death. It would look like they were pushing him into the ring.
Well, you know that was the first time. That's when I knocked down Mike Tyson. I had knocked down Tyson in sparring for this specific fight, and I didn't spar with. They wouldn't let me spar with Tyson for like 3 weeks going into the Michael Spinks fight, and I seen Tyson. That was the best I ever seen Tyson spar from that time on, because he was so mad that he couldn't get me back for me knocking him down. I think. What's his name? The trainer.
Kevin Rooney?
No, the trainer that told him that I knocked him down, because I told him I didn't knock him down. And the one that trained Ali, Angelo Dundee.
Oh, Angelo Dundee.
Angelo Dundee, the one that told him I knocked him down, because I didn't want to told him I knocked him down because I was going to get fired. And once they told him that Angelo Dundee told him I knocked him down, they wouldn't let me spar with Mike Tyson no more for that Michael Spinks fight. And I seen Mike Tyson go on a terror. So even before they walked out into the ring, I knew. I mean, me and the other sparring partners, we knew Tyson was about to destroy Michael Spinks.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we finally got.
He's on one. He on point.
I want to welcome the KO King. He's finally here. I'm dying to hear his voice. We got Randall Baily joined us. I know we had some technical difficulties. Randall, glad you could join us. What's your thoughts on this fight, brother?
Oh man, I think that he's really kind of underestimated Mike. You can't really play with Mike like this. And I just think that if Mike hits him decent, he's gonna hurt him real bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's Carl. I mean,
if he hits him,
I think he's gonna hit him. I think he's gonna hit his body. I don't think Jake Paul has ever been hit with a body shot like he's gonna get hit tonight. Even at a pushing 60-year-old Mike Tyson. What do you think? Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. And Oliver, I mean, you've been in there with some punches. I mean, the bottom line is Jake Paul hasn't. And I think that's really the telltale of this fight. Is he going to be able to handle the power? Is he gonna run around? Is he gonna try to outbox Mike Tyson to get him?
2 or 3 rounds. I think the second or third round Tyson should get him. That's what I'm thinking. Tyson to get him in the second or third round.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if it goes much past 3 rounds, I think Mike's in trouble, Carl.
Yeah.
You know what? It depends on how those first couple of rounds go.
That's right. Yeah.
If it gets to round 4 and Mike's pounding on this guy, I think the guy gonna give it up. I mean, if he's in the ring, that means he's not scared. He's got courage. But we've seen, Michael Spinks, had courage too.
Okay. Yeah.
So did the cowardly.
When Mike Tyson hits you, it's not about courage.
Yeah.
When he hits you, he is trying to hurt you. He don't know how to play right.
Well, Hey, Carl, the Cowardly Lion had courage too, and you see where he got hit. But hey, Randall, do you think that if Jake Paul gets hurt by a body shot, do you see him running around? Do you see him running and keeping away from Mike? Do you think
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna move. But I mean, if he does that, I mean, people don't wasted their money because he's not a move around boxer. You've never seen him do it, so it's gonna look retarded.
Well, I've only seen him fight one real boxer, and he didn't win. But
Exactly.
Somebody's shots will freeze you. He may not be able to move after that.
The body shots, exactly. I could see Jake Paul getting knocked out with a body shot. I can too. Yeah, I could see his body shutting down and crumbling to the canvas. And I mean, that's what I hate to say, but that's what I'm praying for. I can't believe the odds makers have Jake Paul as a favorite.
Oh, do they? What's the odds?
It started out 3-1, and money is coming in on. I heard this morning it was down to 2-1.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's 58, man. That's what I mean, theoretically, a 27-year-old athlete
juiced up
be able to beat a 58-year-old athlete.
Let's be clear. If he's clean, I don't think he's gonna be able to do nothing with Mike Tyson.
Well, he ain't clean though.
He ain't clean. I mean, look at him. We were talking about it before.
He ain't gonna have too much of a shot.
And that's not fair. That's not fair.
Well, I mean, it's not fair to the 27-year-old fighting a 58-year-old either, really. But he's not clean. He's juiced up. I mean,
he like he said, it's not fair. But it's entertainment, and that's what the public want. Basically, they ain't complaining about it or whatnot, and they ain't ready to say, well, we're gonna say no contest. So it is what it is. I just hope Tyson ready for what he's going into. Really, I really hope.
You know what I want to say? Yeah. On this fight, I was just having a short conversation with Marino. He's 19. He's got all his buddies on, playing gamer and all that stuff. I said, you watching the fight? He goes, yeah. He looked at me like, yeah. And he doesn't say that very often. I force him to watch the fight. I said, what about all your gaming buddies? He goes, they're all watching this fight. I go, because you think your dude, you want to show that your YouTube guy can beat our old guy. And he's like, exactly. He's going to beat his ass.
Really? Really? So a lot of these. Okay.
And apparently that's the, look at Jake Paul is a monstrous 14 or 15 million followers, whatever he's got a monstrous following. And the numbers on this fight, you're not going to get them from Netflix. It would be wonderful if they would release to see what the real viewership was, because there's 268 million subscribers on Netflix, and just imagine if it has a 50 share of half the subscribers are watching it. 132 million viewers worldwide, and then that's 132 million subscribers, and then how many people are in each house? You probably multiply it by 5.
Wow.
That's the closed circuit.
Okay, let's say this.
Here's a big question, all right? And we'll start off with Randall can answer it first, and we'll go down the line. But so from that perspective, and I'm glad you shared that, because I know a lot of non-boxing people are talking about this fight. So it's successful, Jimmy, from a promotional standpoint, no doubt. But my question is this fight going to pick up boxing fans, or are they like you just said, John, are they rooting for their YouTube hero, and then once this fight's over, it's over, or are they going to become boxing fans? What do you guys think? Randall, you first.
Well, my thing is, I don't think he's going to pick up no boxing fans. Everybody's really just watching because of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson has a huge following. My thing is, let's just say Jake Paul does win. What's next? Is he going to fight a 90-year-old next, or is he going to really try to fight somebody? Because there's a lot of guys out there that he could have fought.
Well, he said,
other than a guy that's 60 years old.
He said he wants Canelo next after Tyson.
Come on.
He said, hey, Jimmy, he said that he's offering Canelo a payday. This is what Jake Paul said. He said if he beats Tyson, he's going to offer Canelo a payday. When I heard that, I laughed. Canelo's the guy making $40 million a fight now, right?
Yeah,
he's making more money than anybody else, even blowing away Floyd when Floyd was active. So from a promoter's perspective, what's your thoughts on that comment?
Well, I don't think it's something that Canelo will entertain because he can make that without Jake Paul, and it'll be a circus. Number one, what this is, I think Tyson right now. What happened is people like ourselves that's a little older. Tyson not only fighting for himself, for his family, but we're cheering for him because he's fighting for us too, to show some of the young bucks we still here.
Yes.
But let me just say this though, right quick. The heavyweight champion is the most prestigious award in sports back in the day. So we do not want him to be messing with the lightweights and the middleweights and the light heavyweights. I'm pretty sure between me and Lennox Lewis, and matter of fact, I'm gonna take me out of the equation, although I know I knock him out. Lennox Lewis will definitely knock out Jake Paul. Let him fight another heavyweight champion that's around our age, which Lennox Lewis, what, about 58, 59? I'm pretty sure Lennox Lewis will knock him out. So all this, he want to fight light heavyweights and he want to go down. Since he's sticking with the heavyweight champion, which Tyson is the icon of the heavyweight champions, just like Ali was and still is as far as one of the icons. No, stick with the heavyweights. Since you started with the heavyweights and you want to shame one of the heavyweight icons in the heavyweight division, I'm pretty sure it's some heavyweight champions. I'm one of them, and I'm pretty sure Lennox Lewis will knock out Jake Paul. So if he knock out Tyson, I guarantee you, and I put all my money on Lennox Lewis to knock him out.
Listen,
that'll steal all that right there.
I'm honestly don't think he's going to beat Tyson. I mean, look, I think you hit it on the head, Jimmy. We're all rooting for Tyson. I mean, he is the guy, I mean, and I honestly, I don't, no disrespect to Jake Paul, but I don't think much of him. Fury is not a great fighter, and
Exactly.
and he beat him. So the truth of the matter is he's saying, he's improved and stuff, but he hasn't indicated that with his opponents. He hasn't fought, another guy. He wouldn't even give Fury the rematch, So he jumps to a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and he says, after Mike Tyson, I'm going to go after Canelo at 200 pounds.
That's because he's short. No, let's look at it for real. He going with Tyson because Tyson's a short, older fighter. Yeah. Fight a bigger heavyweight former champion. The fight of Lennox Lewis or Ole Maskev or I mean, for real, it's a bigger guy, a heavyweight, or me. I mean, I'm talking about any other former heavyweight champions that's 6'2", 6'5", he will get demolished. He'll get demolished.
And all of us together on this panel, we all got years of experience in boxing. And we all know, which the public doesn't understand, the YouTubers don't get it, but Jake Paul's he's cut every corner he can to make this fight happen to his advantage, not to Tyson's advantage. I mean,
if Joe Frazier was still alive, he'd be wanting to fight Smoking Joe. He'd be smoking. He'd be wanting to smoke me like, well, for real, because he's a shorter fighter. So age definitely plays a role in it, but now size do matter. Look at him. He got the reach, and then he juicing up and all of that. Well, then, since you're going to juice up, go and fight one of the Klitschko's. I guarantee you, Vitaly will knock him right on out. No problem.
Listen, he's picking Tyson because of the money. He knows that Tyson was a draw, and we're all talking about it. I promised myself I wasn't going to do this, John. And like I wasn't even going to do a serious show on it. And here on Thursday we talked about it, right? A whole show about it. And the thing is that the truth of the matter is I was amazed. I was talking about this the other day. I was amazed. I was listening to the radio, Sirius Radio, and some classic rock station, a DJ who's probably my age, she starts talking about the fight. She doesn't know a left hook from a fish hook, and she's saying she's going to watch it on Netflix, you know. So that's a good thing. And what you just said about Marino, I mean, that's all good. It's good publicity for the sport. But like Randall said, are we attracting boxing fans, potential boxing fans? One of my biggest hangups with the fan base today, specifically the young fan base, is they don't want to learn about the history of the sport. And I think boxing is the only sport that you need to know about the history, because the beginning of boxing and all those guys that paved the way, you know, the early 1900s, even moving forward, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all those fighters paved the way for the way the fighters are fighting today. And young fans, they don't even respect that. They look at their favorite fighter and they see that he's undefeated, and they don't care that he's fighting a guy that, you know, shouldn't even be in the ring. They're just pounding their chest saying, oh, he won, he's still undefeated. They only care about the O. I mean, we need boxing fans that are going to become boxing fans, not just, you know, fighter fans. That's what I think it seems to be happening.
Yeah, these era fans, you could go far as back as Julio Cesar Chavez. They don't even know who he is.
Right. Well, listen, this is why I said the other day that the UK boxing fans are better than the US fans, because when they're fighting, first of all, they follow their fighters. And if their fighter loses, they don't abandon them. They're still their fan, you know, and a loss or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 doesn't matter. They still support their fighters. Here in the States, you follow a fighter, he loses a fight, and what do you hear? He was exposed. He's washed up. You know, they don't even give the fighter a chance. You know, a fighter needs to fight progressively harder fights on his way or her way.
But that's the era that we in.
And I don't like it. It sucks.
That's the era that we in. But you have to. This just didn't come out of air. The boxing farm made it this way.
Well, no, the money is driving it. You know, and like this fight is the same. This is a great example of it. You know,
but Billy, this proves the old adage, and especially in American sports. Carl's going to agree with me on this. Our sports are driven by our stars. Okay, when Mike Tyson came on the scene, he took over from where Ali grabbed that torch, and a different kind of guy. Look at this. Look at the women's basketball player there, Caitlin. What's her name? Caitlin Clark, is it?
Katie Clark, yeah.
Nobody was watching the WNBA, and this girl emerged out of nowhere. And now look at the numbers. Stars drive the sports. When Michael Jordan took over the NBA, it put that NBA on a different level. And we haven't had that takeover boxing star in us. I mean, we had Floyd for a little while, but we haven't had that heavyweight champion in a lot of years. And if that guy emerged right now, that Tyson guy, he doesn't have to look like Tyson or fight like Tyson. He might be a guy who's a combination of Tyson's speed and Ali's looks and power and charisma or something like that. This sport would come back in this country very quickly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we haven't had an American heavyweight champion since Evander in 1999.
Wow.
I mean, mean, you can say Wilder for, you know, you had guys Shannon, you know, was it Briggs for a minute? But no one of any substantial or state, you know, of renown has been there, you know, and I think that's the heavyweight division is what drives the sport.
Yeah,
100%. But I agree 100%. But this goes back to what I just said. You know, in England, and trust me, nobody from England is paying me to say this, but in England, they increase the level of opposition every fight. So the fighter is getting better and better. Here in the States, we don't. We hand feed them the same cupcake so much that they become diabetics, okay? And they never get better. And all of a sudden they have a title, and then they don't hold on to it because they get exposed or they fight a guy that that's better, because the truth of the matter is management and promoters and networks, they don't want to lose the O. And that's what's hurting.
Well, I'm going to say it because I know nobody else want to say it. Over the last 10 years, that's what boxing has become.
And why? And why? And you know what? I'll tell you the reason.
We making prima donnas and not fighters.
Amen.
Yeah, but you know why? I'll tell you. I'll say it because it's true. Floyd Mayweather ruined it. Floyd Mayweather's success and marketing the O has turned every young fighter into that same mold. They want to do it like Floyd. They want to have the riches like Floyd.
No. We're not gonna blame this. We're not gonna put this on Floyd because Floyd is a fighter. You know, Floyd is a fighter. It's the machine. It's the machine that was behind Floyd that got boxing the way it is right now.
Floyd was successful in building the O.
Floyd didn't create it. Floyd's just 50-0. It's the people who followed it and looked at it and said, "Oh, look at Floyd Mayweather is an unbelievably superior talent, and the 50-0 is deserving." But the guys that are following him, we're on the club level now with Jimmy. These guys, Randall, I haven't been on the club level like this.
Let's look at this. Look at all of Deontay Wilder's opponents before he fought Ortiz. Look at Andre Berto's opponents his whole career.
Randall, you're 100% right. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Hey, better late than never. But joining us right now is the trainer to champions and currently from the World Boxing Review, Aaron Snowell joins us. What's up, brother?
All right, how you doing, Billy? See what's going down? I see.
What's up, Aaron?
Man.
So, Aaron, come on. We've been talking about this. What's your thoughts on this fight?
Well, it's an exciting time to see a young guy who's venturing into boxing, no amateur experience, with 11 fights. Him and his brother has gone out and challenged the best in the world as far as names and their accomplishments, and they're bringing people to the stage of boxing. All of that is good. You know, Muhammad Ali back in the day, he used to do certain things like this, like when he went over in Japan and did the karate thing, and it drew a lot of people to boxing. And this is good for boxing. It's an exciting time for boxing.
I tell you, I'll tell you what, you know, Randall, what you said is still in my head because I say the same thing over and over and over. You know, and I remember Lou DiBella was on this show after Andre Berto lost. And he lost his title, and he says, well, he's still being developed. And I said, wait a minute. How can a fighter still be developed? He was a world champion. He just lost his title. You're supposed to develop before you get a title shot, not after you get a title.
Yeah, they developed them by cutting me off and putting them in and let them fight for the title I was supposed to fight for.
Well,
that's how they develop them.
Well, you know, and that's my point. There's a lot of young fighters in the gyms today that are working their tail off that aren't getting shots because somebody else, right? So now we wonder why there's so few fighters. Well, why should they bust their ass in the gym and prepare for a shot they're never going to get because maybe they don't have the right management, maybe they're not in the right place at the right time, or maybe they're just too good. I mean, Carl, come on, you managed a million fighters. I mean, you know, we talked about this last time you were on this show. You know, 4-round fighters are demanding, you know, limousine service, $5,000. You know, they won't fight this guy because he's got a knockout. You know, I mean, come on, what's happening?
Well, you know what is, I guess, you know, I'm gonna agree with what Randall said. You know, this is the time we're living in. You know, guys, you know. I think it all goes down on management. Guys, managers don't want to put their fighters in. They want to preserve that undefeated status. And a lot of times it adheres to the detriment of the fighter that they that they call themselves protected. You know, when you're coming up, man, the better your competition is, the better you're going to be.
Yeah.
you know, and look, I was taught a long time ago that a loss doesn't mean it's the end of the world. You know what I mean? So, you know, that undefeated thing is a myth. You know, you're fortunate. Look, Floyd made 50-0, but did he really win all 50? No, I don't think so. I mean, I seen Castillo beat him, but that, you know, he got denied. But that's when the emphasis is on the zero and not on the quality of the fight itself. Yeah. You know, so I think guys today need to compete, you know, on a level that will bring boxing back to the top. Because right now we're falling behind the UFC and the MMA and all that, image wise and fan base wise. And I think a lot of it has to do with guys coming up, these what so-called prospects and contenders, you know, fighting guys that they shouldn't be in the ring with, knocking them out, you know, fighting, for lack of a better term, bums, you know. And if they can, you know, if I think we have more competitive fights on the smaller level of shows that, you know, coming up through the ranks, that the sport itself would be the beneficiary of all of that. So
when I was at the tail end of my career, you know, a lot of my promoter friends in Miami, and Al Heyman was moving fast. I would tell these guys, don't stop doing your regular shows.
Right.
Do not stop doing your regular shows, because what they was doing, they was stop doing what they was doing, and everybody's sitting back waiting for Al Heyman. You know?
Yeah.
And
well, they're doing that now with Turkey Al-Rashid. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, but look.
Let's look at it this way. The best that has done it in this era was Don King. And what his favorite words that he used to say to everybody was, let the best fight the best. You know, Oliver McCall would have never, ever got a shot at the heavyweight championship if it wasn't for them two gentlemen sitting right there, Jimmy Adams and Carl King, were to let the best fight the best and give a man a chance and an opportunity to rise to the occasion. Yeah. And that's what happened with Oliver, Frankie Randall, and the list is long, fine, but distinguished when a guy is hungry and he gets a shot at the title, and it gives them the opportunity to go in there and win. And like we're saying, the networks created this thing with the zero. It looks good on paper, and Carl can remember and go back where the networks wouldn't even buy a Julian Jackson, right, or even a Julio Cesar Chavez and a Zuma Nelson. And these are all-time great people. They called them the caboose, didn't they, Carl?
That's it.
Hey, Aaron, I got a question for you. You know, you said you thought that this fight was good for boxing. My follow-up on that is, where does boxing go after this? Assuming let's look at both sides of the coin. If Jake Paul wins this fight, my opinion is we're going to see a lot more of this, and I don't think that's good for boxing. I want to see real boxing matches, and I think if Mike Tyson wins the fight, initially, you know, all of us are going to be happy about it, but then you're going to start seeing money being thrown at Mike to fight a current champion. I mean, where do you see it going?
Well, I can say this, that demographically, boxing is doing well all around the world. You know, you got the Japanese champion who's undisputed champion that's drawing crowds at alarming rate. For an Anthony Joshua to jam-pack and set the record that we had with Tim Witherspoon in Wembley Stadium, for him to go in and to break that record with 98 some thousand boxing fans. Tyson Fury, he does around that much, who previously held the record before Anthony Joshua broke it. Boxing's doing very well. It's just that in the United States, we've been spoiled, man. Don King spoiled. He spoiled this market with the great fights that he put on TV for the networks to build them up. You know, as he all the time said, teamwork makes the dream work, and it worked out good for HBO. And when he left HBO, he brought Showtime up to the mark, and it gave trainers and fighters and managers a great opportunity. You know, me and Carl used to sit at times 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, talking and strategizing the guys that we had, how we were going to match them, how we were going to get the exposure and stuff like that. And you got to know as a trainer what your guy can handle and what he can handle. And that's what we did very well. We knew if we had a guy going in a 50-50 fight, what he could do. And if he didn't do it, that he would come out on the short end of the stick. But we would give him the best opportunity to the training facilities to get in dog shape. You know, they ripped us apart for having guys in training facilities that were state of the art, but having them guys in those type of facilities, we could give them food and shelter, cultivate their skills, and have a great fight plan, and give them the best chance of winning. And that's what it's all about right now. You know, you have to give people that kind of opportunity. And, you know, for a guy, we found out early is that guys just training in hotels in different cities, go and do this and go and do that. That's really not training camp. Training camp is what Joe Louis had, Larry Holmes had, Muhammad Ali had, and Henrietta King had. And boy, it flourishes. And the woman that had that great training facility where Joe Louis trained at in New Jersey, it produced many great world champions, just like Orwell, Ohio has. So we have to look at that, and the boxing world have to look at that, how they're cultivating fighters.
Well,
that's a good point. I like that.
It's a great point. Stillman's Gym. You know, the thing is it's funny because I happen to have been watching an old movie the other day. It's called The Champion. It's a fictional movie. Kirk Douglas was in it. But what interested me was, he was a fighter in this movie, and they showed the gyms and how crowded the gyms were. Mm-hmm. And, where you had real trainers, you don't have rah-rah men, and that's what we have today. We have a lot of rah-rah men. We don't have trainers. We don't have teachers, because boxing used to be a trade. You started out sweeping the floor, then you fought amateur. Then, you learn how to fight. You turn pro. After that, you become a trainer, or you become a promoter, or you become a manager. You had boxing people involved in boxing. Now, all boxing, and me and Carl talked about this the other day. The bottom line is all you need is a checkbook. You buy the $50 license, and poof, you're a trainer. You're in. You got
to throw a towel over your shoulder.
And that's it. You can hold the water bottle. You're a trainer. And that's a shame, because they should have some kind of course or license. Not just buy a license. You need to learn something. But I tell you,
well, Billy, look, what broke all of that up? At one time, there was only a certain amount of gyms around the country, and these trainers, you could call them up, their gym, and if you need a guy for this and that, and the only way a fighter could come in or a trainer come in to train, you have to work on an established trainer inside the gym. And with fitness now took off, and boxing fitness opened the door to a lot of that. Yes. People start opening fitness boxing gyms, or let fitness boxing inside of regular gyms. And it opened the floodgates for people to come in with fighters and not really knowing the game, trying to figure it out, and bad-mouthing all the people that were established in the sport, and saying that, they don't know what they're doing, and, They're behind times. If you look at Jack Johnson and all of those great fighters, you look at Jack Johnson's training regimen, he's working resistance cords, he's running, he's shadow boxing, and the first one to develop a weight was a heavyweight champion. So when they start talking to that about fitness and stuff like that, bull crapping guys, they tell different fighters that them old school trainers, they don't know nothing about fitness. It's a new era, not realizing there's nothing new under the sun. That trainers, if you've been around the right ones, those that know what they're doing, they knew how to condition a guy. Guys nowadays can't even go 12 rounds when guys were going 15 rounds. And way back in the day, they were going 20 and 30 rounds. So don't tell me that guys didn't know about fitness, but along with open the floodgates come the hoodwink and the bullcrap. And that's what happened to boxing, where guys can hoodwink guys and bullcrap them. And like, OJT on the job training, the work under the coattails of great trainers and assist them and learn your craft and learn your trade is the way great trainers in this game have been developed. But
hey, listen,
now
you're 100% correct. And you mentioned Jack Johnson, one of my favorite all-time fighters. But I tell you another thing, we were talking about, advances in nutrition and training techniques. First of all, I agree with you 100%. Running on a treadmill is not the same as running outside. Okay. And one thing always comes to mind when people talk about training is I remember a story with James Jeffries. You brought up Jack Johnson. Well, James Jeffries, when he used to train for a fight, he used to limit himself to 1 quart of water every day. Now, today we know that, James Jeffries is lucky that he didn't die of dehydration while he was training, but, back then he thought that was toughening him up. But listen.
Well, he was getting paid to lose weight when he fought Jack Johnson. The promoter at the time from the alfalfa farm, if they said if he lose X amount of weight at a certain period of time, he would get so much money and he'll get more on his purse. So, when you limit your water intake, your body starts eating fat. So, there's a method to the madness.
Now, Aaron,
don't say that, Aaron, because I'll stop drinking water.
Don't do it, Carl. Don't do it,
Carl. Yeah, no, but it puts your body
all in,
it puts your body at risk.
Don't do it, Carl.
But it puts your body at risk, but it has something. You just can't do it all the time. It has ways to do it.
Yeah, because I used to do it a lot, even now at this age, where I drink less water so my body can eat the fat itself. So that's just part of a process that you got to get used to and know what you're doing, because I've done it on several occasions to get my weight down to where I had speed instead of just that extra weight on me. So I've experienced what Aaron Snowell talking about on several occasions. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Is that the great Oliver?
Yeah. How you doing, Aaron?
Oh man, this is a jewel, man. Oliver McCall. What's going on, champ?
Not much.
I didn't know you were on this call.
That you was talking about that I could relate to, Aaron, because I had a good friend, one of my best friends, Jamo Lucas, and I left Virginia for about 15 years. For a while, I went through Kentucky. And then I went up to Texas, and I was staying there for a while. And when I come back to Virginia, next thing you know, I heard that Jamo was a great trainer, and he trained me. And I mean, and some things. He got his own gym. I walked in the gym. I saw my pictures everywhere because, I used to take Jamo a lot of places with me back when I was champion. And now he was a great trainer. I was like, wait up. They said, Oliver, he said he trained you. I said, no, that's my best friend, but he never trained me for a fight. And lo and behold, he the MMA. So once you start saying what you were saying, Aaron, it kind of threw me back to to my friend how he took some of the stuff, and next thing you know, now he a great boxing trainer. I said, wait up, now he ain't no great boxing trainer. He might train some MMA fighters and this and that, but you know, things has changed a bit, and people has taken, especially by we have the internet and the phone and stuff like that, we're able to put things out and say things that's true and not true to enhance your capability or to tell lies about what you've done or can do. And that has caused a ripple effect in the boxing as far as great trainers and training camps and so on and so forth. And we losing a lot of, I mean, it's hurting the boxing game a lot. It really.
Well, listen, if you heard it on the internet, it's got to be true, right?
Okay.
Hey, listen, guys. The card is about to start, so let's go around the horn here and get your final predictions of the fight. You know, how it's going to go, when it's going to end, who's going to win. John, we start with you first, brother.
I'm going to have 2 drinks, get my courage up, go on my Hard Rock app, and I'm going to bet Mike Tyson to KO in the second round. KO Jake Paul second round.
Carl King, what's your thoughts?
Wow. Listen, I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm going with Mike Tyson. I think he stops him inside of 4 rounds. That's what I'm gonna go on. If I can get that early, Mike, I might be on to something.
Yep. Aaron, what's your prediction?
Well, my prediction is Mike Tyson is going to take his time and slowly use his experience in fighting spurts. At some point, he's going to hit Jake Paul with a counterpunch, an awkward counterpunch that Jake Paul's not used to people countering him real good. And I think it'll get him out of there. It might be to the body or a left hook to the head. But that's what I think is going to happen.
KO King, Randall, what's your thoughts?
I'm going with Mike Tyson in 6.
Mike Tyson in 6.
6.
Jimmy Adams.
I got Mike Tyson in 3.
And the man, Oliver.
Well, I said he was going to knock him out in the second or third round. So since both of those rounds are it's 4 rounds, I go with the 4 round. I think that I'm leaning more with him probably wearing them down. Somewhat what Aaron did say, that he going to wear them down and he going to end up catching them trying to fight back. So I say the 4th round. He'll knock him out in the 4th round.
One thing I want to say, and really this is to you, Jimmy. You know, I've always said that the backbone of boxing is the club shows. And without those club shows, we wouldn't have the big shows. And I applaud what you're doing in Tennessee, and I wish you all the best. As far as my prediction, I'm with Carl and I'm with Oliver. I think Mike Tyson is going to win this fight. I think he's going to win the fight within 4 rounds. And I think the knockout punch, I can't see it, John. I think the knockout punch is going to be a body shot. I think the fight's going to end on a body shot. And that's my prediction. But John, what do you
5
show
rounds,
me, brother?
so I can have my own little 5.
John's going with Jake Paul.
Everybody got their own little round. I got round 5.
John, I lost your your audio here. I don't know what.
So Jake Paul is minus 260 right now on the Hard Rock, and Mike Tyson is plus 185, and I'm going to take that 195 right now. I'm taking it right now.
I think it's good. Hey guys, I really appreciate you taking the time and hanging out with us today. And I tell you, open invitation to all you guys to come back on the show whenever you want. Just John can get you all my contact information. I'd love to have you guys come on a regular show, and we'll do that in the future if it's okay. And aside from that, all I could say is thank you very much. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's been watching.
God bless y'all.
Hey, that fight between Katie Taylor and Serrano, that's going to be a barn burner
That's
for women's
fight.
boxing.
I got Katie.
You got Katie? Yeah, you know
that fight's going to be a barn burner. That fight is going to be a barn burner.
Listen, I initially liked Katie Taylor, but because I got to call a couple of Amanda Serrano's fights, I'm going to lean towards her. Although Aaron Jocko, who spits water on me, I would never root for him, Carl. But anyway, hey fellas, I appreciate it. To everybody that's watching or listening, enjoy the card. John, you said it started at 5:30, so the preliminaries must be on now, right?
It's going right now.
All right, guys.
See y'all later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the card tonight. We'll see you soon.
All right, Big Jim.
Take
All
care.
right, see y'all, man.
Peace out.
Yes,
All right.
sir.